Greetings everyone, and welcome to my tabletop. My name is Vorm, and today I'm going to be playing Lanzerath Ridge, a Valiant Defense Series game from DVG, created by David Thompson and Nils Johansson. So in Lanzerath Ridge, we're going to be recreating a battle that occurred on the first day of the Battle of the Bulge, where a very small number of U.S. soldiers fought a defensive kind of delaying action against a very large number of German infantry units, about 500 or so, and they successfully managed to hold up the advance of the entire 1st SS Panzer Division. So we're going to be recreating that battle in kind of a card-driven tower defense style solitaire gameplay. And we're going to be trying to emulate the success that the American soldiers had in that engagement. So in Lanzerath Ridge, as you can see with the initial board setup here, we have the American soldiers arrayed in defensive positions to the top of the board. At the bottom, we have the German infantry that are going to be moving uphill towards the U.S. soldiers. There are basically 5 approach paths that the Germans are going to use. We have a left flank here in orange, a right flank in blue mostly, and then 3 central pathways that are going to be coming at us from. So the goal for the Germans is to get any one of their units into our defensive positions, and if they remain there after we get a round to respond, then we immediately lose. So at all costs, we need to keep the German units out of our defensive positions. The game is played out over 4 attack periods. I have the first attack period deck of cards here, and there are, of course, 3 additional ones just off the board. And a round of the game works in that there's going to be an attacker phase where we're going to draw 3 cards from the deck and resolve them one at a time. That's going to add additional German units to the various lanes of approach. It might deploy machine guns, MG42s, and it might institute a mortar fire in later rounds. So we're going to resolve 3 cards. That'll end the attacker phase. Then it goes to the defenders, the US forces, during which time we're going to be able to take 5 actions, and we're going to mark our actions with these 5 green tokens. We'll just place one on top of each soldier that takes an action. After we've taken our 5 actions, back to the attacker phase, draw 3 cards, and we just continue going back and forth like that until this deck runs out of cards. There's 24 cards in the deck to start, so that generally means 8 rounds of combat in this first attack period, except there is an action we can take with our artillery radio in the Jeep here, that we might be able to call in an off-board artillery strike that has the effect of removing 3 cards from this deck each time we manage to do that. So there is a way for us to shorten the combat period. Okay, so that's the very, very basics. A lot of little rules that I do need to go over. I'm going to cover most of them as we encounter them during gameplay. This isn't intended to be a tutorial how to play video. It's just going to be me actually playing out a full game of Lanzerath Ridge with the basic setup. And I will explain things kind of as we go. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck here, and we will get started. All right, attack period 1. Our first attacker phase draw is an assault by a leader unit. So we grab one of the leader tokens here, and it says place in lane 4. So this is lane 4, denoted by that. We just follow this path back. We push forward any units currently in the lane, and the leader joins at the back of the lane here. Now, one of the effects of the leader being in this lane is that it's going to render this, which is a barbed wire token, unusable. Basically, he can coordinate the movement of his troops well enough to render this null and void, so we'll just pull that off the board. Without a leader unit, units would stack up in this position until there were at least 3 here, and when a 4th unit is going to be added, it would push the 3 stack forward, removing the barbed wire at that time. So they're just delaying actions until either a stack occurs or a leader unit enters the lane. Okay, let's draw our second card. Another assault, this time a submachine gun unit. And it says roll a die, so we're going to roll a d6 to determine the location it comes out on. Lane 2, defensive position 2, which is this one. So push these forward. And our third card, another assault, this time a grenadier unit. And again, randomly positioned. Number 6, that is this one. Okay, that completes our first attacker phase with our 3-card draw. We'll set that aside. Now we get to take actions with our American units. So, I know from my limited play of the game so far that in this first attack period deck, there's going to be very little or possibly no actual infantry movement on these outer lanes. So I'm going to try to pull my defensive units more towards the center to help defend the primary threat area. Now, I do want to mention a few things about the board right now. We've got American units in these defensive positions. They're separated into 3 main groups. We have A squad, which is over here, denoted by the A in the top right corner of each counter. The exception is Queen. He is from C squad, most of which is represented here. That was 4 forward observers for an artillery division that actually helped out A and B squad during this fight. Then we have B squad to the right. They're actually short 3 members who were sent off on some kind of a mission or a task or role. They didn't get back in time for this engagement, so they're not represented in the normal setup. They are included in the box, though. If you want a slightly easier version of the game, they would deploy here. But for the start, for the standard game, they're not involved. So we have a short B squad over here to the right, letter B kind of in a blue slash on the top right corner. C squad are the forward observers for the artillery group. And then we have 2 leader units. We have Lieutenant Book and Technical Sergeant Slape. They're kind of their own grouping. They control and can command any of the units in the groups, whereas Redmond, who is squad leader for B squad, and Dustman, who's squad leader for A squad, can provide inspiration abilities just for their squad members alone. But Book and Slape can do it for anybody. And I'll explain the inspiration a little bit later. We also have 3 Jeep positions. We've got a radio Jeep for sending intelligence back to headquarters. We have an M2 mounted on top of this Jeep, and this can be dismounted and relocated. And we have a radio on this Jeep that allows us to communicate with the artillery to do some off-board bombardment, which is how we can remove cards from this deck to make the engagement a little bit shorter. In addition to that, we have some defensive positions. We've got barbed wire in 3 positions, and we have grenade booby traps right at the end of each approach to our defensive positions. The barbed wire can be reset in between the 4 combat periods. There's going to be a brief lull in between each combat period where historically there was similar things in the real-world battle where they had engagement for a while, then the Germans pulled back and the Americans were able to reset their positions a bit. And we'll cover that when we get into that in-between period. But the grenade positions, once those are gone and used up, they basically eliminate the first German unit that crosses them. Once they're gone for good. In addition, we have machine gun tracking charts across the top of the board. The M1918 is here. The Modus, the M2, is on the Jeep. And the M1919 is right there in that position. The amount of tokens that you see divided into loaded and ammo supply boxes in each of these positions is the total ammo we have for the entire engagement. So we're not going to get a refresh or a replenishment of any of that. We've got to very carefully husband that ammunition and only use it in critical situations. All right, so that's the different board elements that you're seeing. Now, the units themselves I'm going to cover in a little more detail as we deal with the various pieces of information on them. But I do need to kind of explain the color coding that you see on the board. We have orange, we have brown, we have purple, and we have blue and black. And the color coding is used to denote line of sight. between our defensive positions and the approach lanes that the Germans are using. Basically, if there's a color match between our position, so brown in this case, and any of the positions out here, that means they have line of sight to that position. So it's all color coded. Now, the positions that the Germans are approaching in also have numbers assigned to them. That's the difficulty for our unit to fire and hit any German unit inside that position. So if I was going to have Buch fire at this rifleman, it's brown and brown, so we're fine with line of sight. And I would need to roll a 4 or higher to remove this German rifleman unit. And the bottom right corner of our token shows the die that we roll or the dice that we roll in order to try to get that result. Now, the only other thing to mention is we have this little +1 dotted line here and here. Anytime that a firing solution is going to go from a box to a circle down here that crosses one of these lines, it increases the difficulty for each line that it crosses. So again, this time if I had Slape firing at this rifleman, normally it would be a 4 to hit this position, but it's crossing both +1 lines, so it turns that into a 6 in order for him to shoot that far to hit that target. And that's the basics of the combat from our defending forces against the approaching German forces. The German infantry units don't actually get to do fire against our defensive positions. They're too well entrenched and the defense is too strong for that to be in effect. The only way for the infantry units of the Germans to actually inflict any damage on our units is if they get into the positions. They have to push through the lanes, actually get into close combat, and that's where they can then try to inflict wounds on our soldiers. All right. That's enough of that for the moment. So what I need to do is I need to come up with a strategy for my 5 actions, what we're going to do. So far, they've loaded up a couple of the lanes with a few units, and none of the machine guns have come out yet. So I've got a little bit of opportunity here before I need to start trying to remove their lead elements in each of these positions. So I would like to use my first action. We're going to tell James to go retrieve the Modus off the Jeep. We're going to have it relocate to this centralized position so we can help with this whole interior area. I'm also going to bring Khalil over from the right flank down to that position. I'm going to bring Wibben to here and Gaki to here. And with our last one, let's bring Preston down to this position. All right, that is all 5 of our actions. We'll go ahead and pull our tokens off. And we're back to drawing cards for the attacker phase. There's the first machine gun. MG42 is going to deploy to position B. So we'll grab that and place that there. Now, the first time a machine gun, an MG42, comes out into a position, it just gets emplaced. It doesn't actually fire. The next time we get an MG42 for position B, if the token's still there, if I haven't eliminated it, then it's going to get an opportunity to fire on the US positions. Second card, another MG42, and it's B again. Look at that. Back to back. That's unlucky. All right, so the way this is going to work is it's going to fire on a random position, either position 3 or 4, depending on a D6 die roll. So 3 or 4. Rolled a 1, which indicates position 3 is under fire. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the number in the bottom left corner for Fancher and Wibben, 3 and 2 in this case. Those are their valor values. Think of them as their defensive to hit numbers. So I'm going to roll a d6 for both of them, for each of them separately, that is. And if I roll a 3 or higher, then Fancher is wounded. And if I roll a 2 or higher, Wibben is wounded. So first Fancher, we got a 3, so he becomes disrupted. And for Wibben, a 4, he is also disrupted. So the way a unit becomes a casualty is if they are already disrupted and then take another hit. At that point, they become a casualty and are removed from the engagement entirely. All right, one more card. What do we got? We got an assault of a rifleman in a random position, 1d6. Lane 1, this is defensive position 1, so we backtrack. We have no leaders in the lane, and we do still have barbed wire, so that's going to have this stack up. These move forward. And that is the 3 cards for that round. Now we move back to our forces here. I think I must, unfortunately, spend 2 of my actions recovering both of these units. Next, spend an action to dismount the machine gun. Going to shift McConnell right 1 space. And I probably should have done this last round, but let's go ahead and send Springer. We're going to send him on his way over to the artillery. The earlier we can get there and start accumulating radio tokens, essentially each round I can add a radio token to that space. And then in a later round, when I choose, I can expend any accumulated tokens. And that denotes the number of dice I get to roll in an attempt to get a successful artillery strike. So the more time I can spend accumulating those, the better my chances are of a successful artillery strike. All right, once again, goes quick once you get moving. We're all out of actions. Unfortunately, we had to spend 2 recovering 2 of our units from that unlucky double machine gun draw that we had. And time for some more cards. We got an assault of a rifleman at position 3. So 3, we have a leader in that position. The barbed wire's been removed, so he moves straight forward. Second card, another assault, this time a leader in position 1. That unfortunately is going to remove our barbed wire, and they're going to push forward. That's not good. I don't have a machine gun at the Maudusum placed yet, and we haven't moved this. So I have really no good solutions over here unless I fire the M19 and 19 across 2 different range lines, taking this to a 5 for difficulty. All right. And then finally, third card is MG42 at A. So the A square MG42 is now deployed. And that is it for that attacker phase. All right, I have absolutely got to deal with this. So we do not have line of sight with that machine gun. It's placed in an orange only box. This is a brown circle, so no line of sight for that. We do have line of sight for the 1919. We do have a unit with an M, which indicates he's trained on using the machine gun. Both of these units are. And we also do have Slape here, who is Tech Sergeant Slape. He's a leader who does inspire any units that he's in a box with. That would give us an additional D10 to roll. So we'd have 2 D10 to roll, and we would need to roll a 5 or higher in order to inflict a wound on that stack. Or I could fire from the infantry here in the space, and it's just a matter of, I would roll a D8, for example, if Bosch wanted to try to fire into this position. Or McConnell or any of these others. They're not crossing a range line, so these guys could fire in. The benefit of the machine gun is that it can continuously fire, and I can take this entire row under fire in a single attack action if I would like. It would use up a ton of ammo and might burn the barrel out on the machine gun, and it's at a fairly nasty negative because of the range. Plus, every burst that you fire continuously adds to the difficulty by 1, so it can get pretty unwieldy pretty quickly. But it lets you eliminate multiple units with a single action, which saves on how many units are going to get flipped over to their exhausted state. So, how are we going to do this? I'm considering taking at least one shot with the M1919 at that range. Additional shots, the odds go down. And if I let it stand, if I just take one unit out, the second unit's going to hit the grenade and be eliminated as well. Let's... Now, regardless of what I'm going to do there, I'm absolutely going to have him bring the Maudus back over here. And I could have Book actually emplace the Maudus and have it ready to go for next round, but I don't have Dustman over in these spaces to inspire, but Dustman could inspire Preston to fire on this position. Then we'd get 2d8, needing a 3+. I might do that. Yeah, let's do that instead of using the machine gun. So we'll have Preston take a fire action. He rolls a d8 die. He's being inspired by his sergeant, Dustman, so he's going to get 2d8. And our target number is a 3. So we got a 5, so we did successfully hit. We just removed the top counter. And Preston has done a major action, which flips him over. So our actions for the American units are divided in two different types. There's major actions and minor actions. Major actions are generally all the attack actions. So there's the lists. Major actions on the left. Attacking, close combat, adjust fire, which is the machine gun operation. Assisting and commanding, those are the options some units have that will let us unexhaust other units. And then repositioning, which is a long-range movement, will also exhaust our unit. And finally, the major actions for radio, artillery, and intelligence, which is when you actually trigger the action to try to perform the main function, sending the intelligence off or calling the airstrike or the artillery strike. Minor actions are everything else. So dismounting and placing weapons, moving one space, doing the minor actions for radio, artillery, and intelligence, recovering a unit that has been disrupted, reloading a machine gun, etc. So for the most part, it's just the command actions and the combat actions are the major ones you have to be careful of. All right, so he's now exhausted. Can't do anything else with him. Do I let that other rifleman stand or sit in that position and let the grenade handle it, or do I try to save my grenade for a later wave? I always, my impression or my general desire is to keep my grenades as long as possible, because I know it's going to get harder as we go through the attack decks, so having that option later would be nice. But do we actually do it? Let's do this. I am going to... I can't use him again, even if I unexhaust him. Dustman cannot inspire Queen, because they're not in the same squad. I've got no other leadership over here to do an inspiration to get additional dice. I think I'll let that stand. We'll see if we get lucky and they don't get another movement in that lane next round. If they get the grenade, oh well. I need time to get other stuff done. All right, so I think I am going to have Book and place the Maudus. That way next round it's going to be ready for James to fire. Then with my last two actions, I'm thinking of bringing Khalil over to this position. I need to... Well, no, I really should leave both of them here in case we get pressure along that lane. Alright, let's give Springer his action, get him over to the artillery finally. And let's bring Jenkins down here. Alright, all done. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next attacker phase. First card is an assault, standard rifleman, random location. Hey, good old 6. So, there's no leader. There is barbed wire in place, so this is going to stack this one up. Move these forward. Second one. Assault, machine gun, another random position. Just don't give me a 1. Oops. 3. Well, there we got this as well. So, that rifleman pushes into the grenade, which is going to eliminate him. And the grenade is also gone. Finally, yet another assault. Oh, and we got the one that I didn't want. Another German infantry, and another grenade gone. And these push up. Ouch. Alright, attack phase complete. What are we going to do? I've already had my barbed wire almost all effectively removed. Only one left, and we've already lost 2 of our grenade booby traps. And we've got immediate pressure in 2 positions. Good news is the Modus is ready to rock and roll. Alright, first action, before I forget, we're going to have Springer start prepping for an artillery strike attempt. So we add a radio token to his space. Next up, I think it's time to start shooting with the Modus. So this is our Modus ammo supply. We've got, what, six rounds loaded. So I am going to have James fire the Modus. That exhausts him. He's going to do that action. We get a D12, and we're getting inspired by Lieutenant Book, so we get 2 D12. I'm going to fire a single round at that position, so 1 round gone. And we get to roll 2 D12, and I just need a 3. We got a 12 and a 7, so he is well and truly shot. Remove him from play. Now, if I want to fire again, which I can do, it's going to be a +1 on the difficulty. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take the shot over here. So it's going to be a 5 that we need because it's +1 for our second round fired from the machine gun, and we're crossing a range line. So it's going to add 2 to the difficulty. So we need a 5 this time on our 2d12. And again, it's going to be 1 single round fired. We did get a 5. And I'm contemplating maybe trying to eliminate one of these. Problem is it's going to now be +2 for our continuing fire, as well as a range line. It's going to give us a 7 necessary. Alternatively, now I need to make sure I use as much as I can because I'm exhausting this machine gun unit. So yeah, we're going to take that shot. So 1 round again, firing into this position, and we need a 7 on 2d12 on either one of them. A 2 and a 3, that is a fail. Not good. All right, and I can't take any more shots. There's a danger as soon as you fire more than 3, for each one you fire after that, you have to roll, and there's a chance you're going to burn the barrel and completely destroy the weapon. I don't want to run that risk, so we're going to stop there with that action. I still have the option for Milosevic here with Slape, giving him inspiration to fire the M1919. But I'm going to wait. We've still got one more position they have to move up to, assuming they don't get blocked one more time by the barbed wire. So I'm going to hold off there. I'm going to have Queen use his assist action to unexhaust Preston. I'm going to have Dustman move to there. And I'm going to have Bosch move to this position. Just trying to shore up my center a bit. I need to get at least 3 units into each, preferably. The other thing to note for defensive reasons is I mentioned the number in the bottom corner being their valor or defense rating for when they take fire. Notice that Book is a 6, Slape is a 6, he's a 6, he's a 6, he's a 5. Very strong defensive values in this group. Not so good here in the middle, 2s and 3s. So it's very important to get more bodies into these positions because they're much lower defense values, much easier for them to get hit. Okay, and I am out of tokens. We're done for the round. Let's see what the Germans have in store for us this round. MG42 setting up in the A hexagon area there. Followed by MG42C. Oh, they're all out. They're all on the board. Uh-oh. I might have to have the Ma Deuce try to clear some machine guns. The Ma Deuce is the one to do it, but I need to get either him unexhausted or I need to move a machine gunner from another position into the Ma Deuce position to take over that gun. Because it's got the D12, the highest die type, and Book supporting it or inspiring it, so you get 2 D12, because we need to hit target numbers of 7. Not counting any range difficulty or increases, in order to remove these machine guns. Very important that we try to do that, and by far the Ma Deuce is the weapon to do it with. All right, that is 2, so 1 more. An assault, a leader, and number 3. So 3, backtracking. We got a leader. That is really not good there. So the number at the bottom of the German units indicates how many dice they're going to get to roll when they get into close combat. So if he actually moves into this position, he could disrupt all 3 of these, which would be an instant lose for me. The reason for that is if the German unit manages to disrupt or turn into a casualty, every unit in the space it moves into, there's no way for me to correct or fix that during my 5 actions immediately following. And if he's still there at the end of my 5 actions, I lose. So it's just kind of the way the action point system works. I can't fire into one of my own defensive positions, so I can't shoot it from other locations. And if I move somebody there, that's their action, moving. Then they won't be able to actually attack the unit. So super, super critical. You don't let a unit like this actually get into the position. All right, so that's it for the attacker phase. 3 cards down. This is not looking good. This is bad. I've already got my Ma Deuce machine gunner exhausted, and we've got a leader about to hop into one of our defensive positions. All of their machine guns are on the board and going to start hitting us hard when these next few cards come out. What to do? I need to get the Ma Deuce back in operation. I'd like to get at least one more token on the artillery jeep, and then call in the airstrike next round. Just take the dice roll. I could have Milosevic take shots at that leader token with the M1919. We'd be crossing the range line, so it'd be a 4. 2d10 needing a 4 is pretty good odds to try to eliminate that leader. Then I could follow up with shots into our own lane against this stack. That would be a 5 needed for the... No, it'd be a 6... No, 5 needed for the second shot, 6 needed for the third. But that would do a pretty good job of clearing the lane. So we've just got to survive, what, 3 more? 1, 2, 3. And we're going to hopefully remove 3 cards with our artillery next round if we get lucky. So possibly we only have to survive 2 more. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's go ahead and activate Milosevic. He does have the M to operate the machine gun. He's going to be inspired by Slape. So we're going to get 2d10. I'm firing at this position, which crosses a range line. So 2d10 with a target number of 4. 6 and an 8. So the leader is eliminated. That is a single shot. I'm going to continue firing, but I'm going to switch my target here. So we no longer have the range increase, but now we do have the second shot. So it's going to be a 5 necessary for the second shot. Again, I'm just going to do a single shot. We got a 9 and a 10. Removes the top unit. And I'm going to take another shot at the exact same one. This time we need a 6. So again, a single shot. I'm not sure if that was a 3 or a 7. 7. All right. That removes that one. And Milosevic is now exhausted. Okay, that took some pressure off. We've got at least 1 space for each of our lanes. With only a rifleman here, and really hard numbers for him to try to eliminate these guys. You'd have to get, not super lucky, but if he got into there, a little less likely he's going to hit all of them. But again, both of my machine guns are now down over here and exhausted. I think we'll do Springer again, of course. Another radio token, and next turn I'll activate him for a major action to try to do the artillery strike. Okay. Man, I would like to take these machine guns under fire. So I have Dustman, the squad leader here, and all the other members are his squad, so he could inspire any or all of them. I'm contemplating... the chances aren't great. They roll a d8 to try to take the machine gun under fire. They need a 7 or an 8 in order to hit it. So it would be 2d8 needing a 7 or 8. Not the best odds. The alternative is I just hold my position and anticipate using my actions to recover units that get hit by those machine guns. So... let's get Wibben relocated over here in anticipation of using his assist action to unexhaust James next round. That leaves me Gaki, who still has his assist action, and then I have Book and Slape can use their command actions, which are the most powerful versions. Command is the same as assist. It allows me to unexhaust units, and it allows me to unexhaust 3 units that are either in my same space or 1 space away. So if I have, for example, Bosch take a shot at this machine gun and exhaust him, then I could activate Book next round to unexhaust, unexhaust, unexhaust all three of these units. The downside is he would then be flipped over and I wouldn't be able to get inspire the Maudus. So it's tricky, the timing. You gain one ability and you lose another. Let's see. How do I want to do this? These two positions are still the ones that make me the most nervous. An unlucky double push, and like number 2 would get a machine gun unit in here rolling 2 dice and almost guarantee they would take this space. So I'm really nervous about the luck factor. Let's shore up the defense on one of them by pushing Adams over a space. And maybe I'll just take a shot here. That'll give me 2 spaces free to try to eliminate pressure in the 3 and 4 positions. Yeah, let's do that. Let's have, we got Fancher from B Squad all the way over here, do we? All right, let's have Fancher take the shot. So Fancher's a D8. He's now exhausted. Nobody's inspiring him, so it's a single D8 against a 4 or higher. We got a 5. Success! So that takes a little bit of the pressure out of that lane, gives us some space, and we're done. Okay, what are we going to get? I anticipate some machine gun activity. An assault. Oof. Grenadier. Random position. Where don't I want him? Pretty much anywhere. This is the most forward advanced group. So a 1 or a 2 would not... Whoa! Would not be great. Alright, what went flying? You went flying. Yeah, we got a 3. So... second card. Another assault, another leader, and there's position 2. Dang it. Not great. So many leaders in that column. And the last card for this round, another assault. Oh, another random. No! This is exactly what I feared. Do not roll a 3. Do not roll a 3. All right, 1 over here. Okay, that is it for that round. 2 to go, assuming we don't get our artillery strike. If we do get our artillery strike, just this one. This next one. All right, 5 actions. We're going to do our artillery strike attempt first. So Springer, and this exhausts him when we do this major action for the artillery strike. We have 2 radio indicators. That means we get to roll 2d6. And the goal is to roll a 5 or 6 on either of these 2 dice. A 5 or a 6 indicates a success. A 6. We got a successful artillery strike, so we get to discard 3 cards from the deck. We discarded an MG42 on A, an MG42 on C, and a leader assault on 6. Awesome. That is going to help out a ton. Now it's just down to this last set of 3 cards that we have to survive. So that went awesome. Let's go ahead and put those away. Okay. We have 2 immediate danger points to worry about. And then we just need to get lucky. If I can eliminate these 2, and we don't have a double up on a single lane within these last 3 cards, then we don't have to worry about any more pressure from the lanes, and I can concentrate any remaining fire on the machine guns. So we're going to use Wibbon's assist action to unexhaust James, which is going to bring our Modus back into play, which is great. I intend to use the Modus. Ah, do I? Do I use the Modus? I got to conserve ammo, and I haven't reloaded it yet. We've got 3 rounds remaining loaded. But if I think I can get away with it, it would be really, really good to not have to use the machine guns again. So, what to do? I do have Dustman, who can still inspire either of these two. That means they'd get 2d8. We could probably take out both of these units just with these guys, and I think that would guarantee safety on positions 1 and 2. Then Book could inspire James with just a standard attack, 2d8 against that and that. Or no, he can only fire once. You could do 2d8 against that unit. What are you going to do, Slape? Slape's our technical sergeant. He's got the command ability. He could unexhaust 3 units. Which means I could unexhaust that guy, which would let me then unexhaust him again if I need him. It'd be better if I had Khalil take a shot. That way I could then unexhaust Khalil, James, or no, Milosevic, and him. It's going to be across one range line with a single D8. I'd need a 4 or higher. Any other critical ones? That'd leave me 2 actions left. I got to make sure I take that shot. All right, let's do the critical stuff first. Then I'll see what kind of leeway I have. I'm going to have Krieger. Krieger's going to take a shot. So a D8 for Krieger. It's going to be 2d8 because his sergeant is inspiring him. And we're firing at that position, just needing a 3. We got a 4. Krieger is done. Do I have Khalil take this shot and then do Slape for the unexhaust? Or do I save Slape's unexhaust for next round? Which will be our final round. We still got Gaki over here who can assist somebody if needed as well. I think I'll have McConnell take a shot at this guy. Dustman will inspire again. So 4 or higher on 2d8. 4 and an 8. So that takes all the pressure off there. I don't think there's any chance they can get into our defensive positions. And then the final one, I'm torn. I'm torn. I gotta get rid of this guy. All right, James. We're gonna do the Modus again. I can't risk it. So single round out of the Modus. Firing, no range modifiers, first shot, so we're gonna get 2d12, needing a 3. 6 and a 5. And is that enough? Or do I take one more shot at the leader? I'm really worried about my Modus ammo. Or do I even take... I'm going to save trying to pick off their machine guns for the final round. We'll just have everybody that I can give actions to take pot shots at them. We'll be able to unexhaust... Ooh, we won't get the extra die. Oh, man. No, because I can do Slape. Yeah, we'll be okay. All right. That's it. Here we go. Yeah, I'm going to take the risk. All right. So last 3 cards. We got an assault, standard rifleman, random location. 4. Not great, but at least we have a grenade in that column in case they push forward again. Then we got an assault leader in 5. So 5, that's actually a good one for us. Not much activity over there. And the last card, MG42. Oh, it's MG42 over here. We want him to roll a 1. So a 1 to 3, he's going to fire at an empty position. A 4 through 6, he's taking these guys under fire. It's not going to matter either way, actually, because even if he... Well, it does matter, because if he... I'll explain in a minute. Damn it! That is not what I needed. They're going to get me right at the last. Right at the last with an MG42 burst. Alright, so he's firing at position 2. This is not good. Only needs a 2 or higher. So he is... I'm going to assume they're all going to get disrupted, unfortunately, which sucks. A 3 disrupts Jenkins and Preston. Well, at least Preston didn't get disrupted. All right, 2 out of our 3 guys got disrupted. And that is it for the attacker phase. So, we are not going to have any problems with them getting into our positions. But I have to get these 2 guys recovered. Because in between the rounds, the combat rounds, one of the things that you do as kind of cleanup of the board is you lose a morale point for any disrupted unit that you have still on the board. So I got to clear these. So I got to use 2 of my 5 actions to recover those 2 guys. That only leaves me 3 actions to do anything else with. And one of them needs to be a command action to get the Mod Deuce back in play. So that severely limits what I was hoping to accomplish with this final round. I got to do this. So 2 actions. Get these guys recovered. Then I need to do an action for Slape to do his command ability. He's going to unexhaust that, and that. Oh. Alright. The only thing left that matters is trying to take out their machine gun positions. So when we process the round, all of the German infantry units are going to get pulled off the board and then put back out in their original configuration with that first 10 infantry units. The machine guns, if they still are on the board, stay in position. So this is my opportunity to try to clear them, because if I don't, then as soon as we draw them in the next combat phase, they're going to immediately start firing. So I've only got 2 tokens left to try to do this with. I got no other disrupted units, so we don't have to worry there. I got no radioactivity on the Jeeps to worry about. So it's all really down to the Mod Deuce. I can fire either of the 2 machine guns, but now that I've exhausted the technical sergeant here, we'd only be getting a single D10. So it's going to be the Mod Deuce, and I'll just have to decide how much ammo I want to use. I only have 2 rounds left in it, so it's 2 shots. So I think we would take the farther shot first. So we fire 1 unit or 1 ammo. We're going to be using James here to fire the Mod Deuce, inspired by Book. So it's going to be 2d12. And I need an 8 because we're crossing a range line. 6. And a 2. That is not an 8. We have failed. Last round loaded. Ouch. This is really not good. We're going to fire at this one. So it basically removes the range increase, but we're still firing a second shot, so it's going to be an 8 again. I really need this one to hit. A 1 and a 7. Oh, it's looking rough. It's looking rough. And last we'll have Bosch take a shot here. A single D8 needing a 7 or an 8. And we failed again. All right, rough final round. Really, really rough. So, that's it. There we go. The good news is we didn't have any casualties. We don't have anybody disrupted, so we're not going to lose any morale. The bad news is they've got all 3 of their machine guns still out, and I used up more of my Modus ammo than I really wanted. I was hoping to get out with only about 4 rounds fired, because we still got 3 attack decks to go through, and that ammo is just not going to last. It's so critical. We missed way too many times, and that's by far our most powerful weapon. So I think I'll end this episode right here. I will do all the board cleanup and get everything reset, and then we'll continue the next episode, starting with attack round 2. I'll explain what I did to get the board cleared up and how it's arranged, because there's a few other parts to it. But that'll be next time. So for now, thanks very much for watching, everybody. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying Lanzerath Ridge, and stay safe out there.